What is going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with the one, the only Kevole, Kevin Olenek. We are here for our NFL Week 4 picks, predictions, preview. We're going to go through the whole slate of games today, and we're going to pick them. That's what we do here on the Bottom Line View. If you're new to the Bottom Line View, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for NFL content, NFL news breaking videos, NFL previews like this, recaps, live reactions, and much more. Guys, hit us up in the comments section, the live comments right now. Who are you picking this week? Why are you picking those teams? And any other NFL questions you have for us? There's a lot going on right now. We're getting into the big chunk of the NFL season already. It's crazy. It feels like the NFL season just started, but it's already the end of the first month. And usually, Kevole, I always say this, September is usually the extended preseason month. So we're starting to figure out the identity of some of these teams. And I think a big game for that is going to be this Thursday night game. It is the Minnesota Vikings, the LA Rams. It's in LA. Key players missing on both teams already. And actually this week, there's been a lot of injuries, as we'll discuss in this video. Vikings missing Everson Griffin, not injury related so much, actually, personally. Something going on with him. And then for the Rams, Aqib Talib injured, expected to be out a month. Marcus Peters also injured, both not expected to play. So this is a battle between defense, offense, two teams that were in the playoffs last year, two teams that are expected to be in the playoffs this year. Kevole, who do you got and why?
Well, first of all, we are both angry at the Minnesota Vikings for eliminating us.
That's true. Yes. We are both out of the survivor pool because we both picked the Vikings. Yes. We were the last man standing, and the Vikings embarrassed us because, well, not really embarrassed us because, I'll bring it up, Josh Allen is the GOAT. He's the man. So we'll get to the Bills when we get to the Bills, but Vikings, come on.
So the LA Rams have not traveled outside of California yet this year. They have obliterated teams. They've won every game by over 10 points. They are the darlings. If Oprah was here, it would be, you get a Ram, you get a Ram, you get a Ram. The Minnesota Vikings embarrassed us last week, 27-6 loss to the Buffalo Bills. I am picking the Minnesota Vikings to win this game. They have to win this game. It is huge for them. It is way bigger of a game for the LA Rams. Already, there are actually more Viking fans at the game than Rams fans. We almost need to advertise for Rams fans where that game is because But the Vikings, Dalvin Cook is expected to play. And I think last week we didn't put that into the factor, but Dalvin Cook is going to be there. I think that this offense.
Okay, Kevin, can I stop you right there? I didn't think it would matter against the Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry. Okay.
But I think it's different. No Talib, no Peters against Diggs and Thielen, I think is a matchup. And I just think that this Vikings team is going to be a very angry. This is a must win for them, and I'm picking the Vikings.
All right, man. I don't agree with you, bro. I'm going with the LA Rams. I think the LA Rams right now are the best team in the NFL. I think they're the most complete all-around team, the way they're playing offense, the way they're playing defense. Yes, they haven't had the toughest schedule in the world, but they did put on an impressive showing against the Chargers, which was sort of it was technically a home game, but it was also sort of a even split there. So, why I think the Rams will win this game. Yes, Talib and Peters are out. We discussed this. I think Everson Griffin is a bigger loss than both of those corners combined, because when you look at the Rams, they actually have some depth in the secondary. They have Roby Coleman, who usually does play in the slot, but I believe he's a very underrated third corner. I think he can step up. And yes, the Vikings will have advantages on the outside with Thielen and Diggs, and that's how they're going to be moving the football down the field. I don't have any doubt about that. I actually think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I think overall, those two guys like Coleman and also Sam Shields, who hasn't looked too bad after recovering and coming back to the NFL, playing pretty well. So I feel like they have depth at that position. While meanwhile, in Minnesota, Everson Griffin's hurt. And whenever it seems like one of their top pass rushers, especially Everson Griffin, who is their arguably their most important player on defense, is injured or out, this defensive line cannot get pressure as well. It cannot really make as big of an impact on the game. And the way that Zimmer likes to play defense, they don't love to blitz. They like to send their front four. I think he's going to have to be trying different things to get more pressure on Jared Goff. I think that's going to allow Jared Goff, Sean McVay to do their thing offensively. I think Todd Gurley has a decent game. And just the way that their offense is playing, it's a well-oiled machine right now. It's like, okay, speed reverse to Brandon Cooks. It's then fake the speed reverse, hand it off to Gurley. Then it's fake the speed reverse, fake the handoff to Gurley, screen to Woods. Then it's fake the reverse, fake to Gurley, fake the screen, hit Cooks. So it's just beautiful to watch. And the way that the Vikings have been playing, yes, they had a down performance. Yes, they had a game where likely they should bounce back, and I think this is going to be a decent game. But I think the Rams are going to be able to move the football. They're at home. They have Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh versus this offensive line. And what does Michael Lombardi say? Offensive lines don't travel well. I think that the Rams are going to win this game.
If this was a playoff game, I would probably agree with you, but I think it's one of those things where I think the Vikings have to win. If they don't win this game, I might be hyperbole. They are in serious trouble. They've lost a game by poor field goal kicking. They actually didn't look that good against the 49ers, actually, and they didn't really play all that well against the Packers. They have to win this game. Mm-hmm. This is a must-win for them. That's why I'm picking them.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a rough start to the season for the Vikings. So a team that's a lot of people pick to go to the Super Bowl, even win the Super Bowl and go far in the playoffs. Next game, let's go to Sunday. Texans at Colts. This is a very interesting game because I feel like both teams kind of need to win it, especially one of them, the Texans. But the Colts, they're at home. They've looked very competitive. They almost beat the Eagles last week, and the Texans are a team that are sort of on the ropes. They haven't got a victory yet, as I stated, and they kind of looked pretty bad last week. So, Kev, where are you going with this one? Are you going to go with the team that's playing the better quality football or the team that's desperate?
I am going to pick the Colts because Andrew Luck beats the Texans quite regularly. And I actually haven't been terribly unimpressed with the Colts. I think their defense is a little bit inconsistent, but I think I've seen some progress. I haven't been hugely like Andrew Luck hasn't inspired anybody, but he's getting the job done. They're finding ways to stay in games. I don't know. The Texans just look to me like it was funny watching that Texans-Giants games because there's so many similarities. There's so much talent on the Texans, but I just don't feel that they're a team at this point in time. And they just don't play well in Indianapolis. I think historically, Andrew Luck, this was why I didn't have the Texans in the playoffs, because Andrew Luck was going to beat the Texans twice. So Andrew Luck is going to beat the Texans again.
Yeah, I actually agree with you here. This is a game before the year where I would be thinking, hey, Texans are going to win this easy. I don't even have to look at it, blindfold me, and I'll write it down. But this game, I really like what I've seen from the Colts in terms of their defense. They did a really good job on the road in a tough environment against the Eagles. Carson Wentz coming back. They had a tough time scoring. They could have easily won that game. Andrew Luck is making enough plays to get it done. T.Y. Hilton looks good this year. Having Luck back, their connection is there. Their offensive line's playing better. They don't get overwhelmed by any defensive front, it seems like. They're really missing a run game and a second target in the passing game. But Andrew Luck has so much talent, and T.Y. Hilton is so good. Their offense, I believe, will move the ball here. The Texans' defense hasn't looked as great as I thought it would. Although J.J. Watt is really getting better every week and is becoming himself again, which is nice to see because we haven't seen that in quite some time. Defensively, for the Colts, Marcus Hunt last week was unbelievable. I'm sure Adam Kordick, AC, he could probably give you a thing or two there for about how Marcus Hunt played, but he's been unbelievable. A guy that is sort of a veteran in the NFL, like 5-6 years in. I remember he was really known for blocking kicks for the Cincinnati Bengals, but he's actually become a very good player. on the front there. Jabal Sheard is very good, having another good season. Darius Leonard, a rookie at linebackers all over the field. I think they've sort of found some gems around their team, and it's working out so far for the Colts.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sold, like you said, about the Texans, the continuity between the team, just the way the offensive line looks, again, on the road here, in a dome. It's tough. It's a tough environment, and Deshaun Watson hasn't been taking over games the way he did last year. So I'm going to go with the Colts and Andrew Luck. Next game, Bills at Packers. Now, Kevole, we talked about Josh Allen a little bit, but we didn't expect Josh Allen to come out and beat the Vikings. He was really good last week, but the Bills as a team, they just felt like they played with some heart. Sure, they got a little bit lucky there, but their defense looks better. Jerry Hughes looks a lot better from last year. Trent Murphy's contributing on the defensive line. They don't have a ton of weapons on offense, but they're finding ways to get it done, at least remain competitive. And, ever since that whole thing with Vontae Davis, I feel like they've sort of, as a team, kind of rallied around each other and sort of just played with heart. So this is an interesting game. The Packers did not look good last week. They lost to a Washington team that's very hard to predict. But Aaron Rodgers, he's still sort of carrying this team. As I knock my mic over, he's still sort of carrying this team. And I don't know if he can do it on one leg consistently. And I don't know if we're going to be able to bank on the Packers every week because of Aaron Rodgers' injury. So it opens up to some possible defeats to teams that are lesser than the Packers traditionally. Kevole, what do you think of this game? Are you going to go with the Bills with another upset? Or are you going to go with one leg Aaron?
You know what? Is McCoy? If this is going to a lot depend on LaShawn McCoy, because you can run on the Green Bay Packers. That has been proven already. Peterson does it last week. If McCoy is healthy, I think that's going to make this. You can keep one-legged Aaron off the field. I think that this Packers team is playing very frustrated. I think they're getting completely distracted by this roughing the passer thing, which I understand why they're getting frustrated. But I also think that this is a team that has lacking a lot of talent. I'm going to pick the Packers, but if this was spread, I would take the Bills. That's how I think that this is going to be a really close game. It actually wouldn't surprise me if the Bills win this game, but I just feel like at the end, you got to go with Green Bay.
Yeah, the game is in Green Bay, which makes it a lot easier to pick the Packers here. The defense did not play that well last week when I've really been preaching that it looked a lot better than recent seasons. And I still think that's true. Outside of Devontae Adams, I find the weapons for the Packers have been very inconsistent. The run game's pretty much non-existent. Offensive line's decent. But they need someone else to step up at the receiver position. Geronimo Allison, yeah, he has the stats. But I feel like a lot of that is Aaron Rodgers sort of making plays happen for him, not necessarily him making plays for the quarterback. Defensively, Clay Matthews, they're in his head by now. They're in his head. Muhammad Wilkerson got injured. That's not good. So overall, yeah, the Packers, they had a down week last week, but I'm going to stick with them. I do think Josh Allen's going to make some plays in this game, man. He makes plays with his legs. He makes plays with his arm. And I think he's just going to make it happen. So, but I do think that the Packers will win because they do have number 12 and because I think they'll be able to bounce back this week at home.
By the way, Jimmy Graham has been a dud. Can we say that?
I thought that was going to happen. I mean, I think we were both on that side. But the Packers, first off, never use their tight end. Yeah. I don't think they have since Jermichael Finley. And Jimmy Graham was really ineffective last year, except for in the red zone. So it is what it is. Okay, one more game. We'll get to some of the chat. Bucks at Bears. This is, to me, one of the closest matchups of the week. Last week, the Bears could have easily lost to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals stink. So the Bears were able to stick around. Their defense played well enough, and they were able to win the game. The Buccaneers, they really sucked at the beginning of the game. Fitzpatrick was having a Fitzbadrick, I guess. game, and he looked like the old Fitzpatrick instead of Fitzmagic. And then the second half, he comes out and he turns into Fitzmagic again. And he ends up throwing for like 400 yards and like 3 touchdowns. He did have 3 picks, I believe. But the Bucs, their offense is still really explosive. It's hard to stop and get a real feel for what they're doing on offense. They have a lot of weapons. The Bears, on the other hand, very good defense, one of the best in the NFL right now. And the offense, it's inconsistent for sure. They make some plays. I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to who gets the lead in this game early on. Kevole, where are you going in this game?
I am actually going to take the Bucs here. I really like the Bucs' weapons. I'm not enamored with that defense, especially when they need that key stop. They didn't get it last week against the Steelers, but that offense with Jackson, I know he hasn't scored in Chicago ever, but Godwin's a good player. Howard's a good player. I would like to see them run the ball a little bit more. I think they're going to need that in this game. But I feel for me, the Bears, I think even if this is a low-scoring game, I feel like right now, like Trubisky's getting there, but I think Fitzmagic can make that play at the end of the game. So I'm taking the Bucs.
Yeah, actually, I agree. I probably going to be wrong here. Watch, but you know what? It's so hard to pick against the Bears at home. It's very hard to do, but the way that the Bucs match up with them, I feel like the Bucs can beat them. Like the Fitzpatrick will make a couple more plays. The way their offense is playing right now, I feel like they can make a couple more plays. Mike Evans is tough to stop no matter who you are. He's like 6'6". Doesn't matter what corner you are. He's going to make a couple plays. Godwin looks great. Deshaun Jackson's making plays. Yeah, their run game's not really there, but their tight ends are there. Howard and Braid are making plays. Fitzpatrick, he doesn't care. He just goes out there. He just slings it. He's just having a good time. And sometimes that's dangerous to play against. That's dangerous. Their defense, they're good against the run. And I think that's going to really give the Bears some issues because Trubisky hasn't shown any consistency. As much as I like Trubisky and like his talent, like his potential, he hasn't shown enough consistency to me on a weekly basis to say, can he win this game if the Bucs can stop the run and really focus on, really Fitzpatrick just goes out there and slings the ball. Unless Fitzpatrick throws like a pick six or like they fumble the ball and unless the Bears defense wins this game, I think the Bucs will win this game. So overall, I'm going with the Bucs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the chat. Okay, let's start it off with Bret Hart. He says, "Hello, fellow Canadians. It's I, Bret Hart. Would you like to say hi to Bret Hart?"
Hi, Brad. Nice to see you again.
Bethel says, "Hello, remember me?" What's going on, Bethel? Deshaun Drakeford says, "Miami Dolphins over New England." I'm sure we'll get there at one point. He also says, "Where's Dilly?" Dilly is currently working on a paper for his school, and also he has work tonight, so he's just a busy guy all around. Bret Hart says, "Mitch Milani, cook a tomato pie." Never heard of a tomato pie. I don't know. Have you ever heard of tomato pie, Kev? Dame Time says, "Watch Jared Goff tonight, Mitch. LOL." I will say, Jared Goff has performed better this year, making more throws. I'll give you that. We'll see how he plays tonight. Deshaun says, picking Minnesota 34-27. He said, Deshaun says, "Hey, Mitch, what's going on?" Bethel says, Vikings 23-17. Rams, Gurley will struggle. Vikings D will wake up. Goff will have a meh game. So will Cousins. 27-17 Seattle over the Cardinals. Eric Reed back in the NFL. Kevole, do you have any thoughts on the Eric Reed situation? You're on mute.
We're on mute. Yeah, I think that's a good signing for Carolina. Actually, I think he'll be a good help there.
From a political standpoint, I think it probably took a little bit too long for him to get a job in the NFL because he's definitely one of the 32 best safeties in the NFL. But I mean, in 64, even more play, but just from a starting standpoint, he's definitely up there. Probably, I would say, a top 20 safety in the NFL. And definitely, I think he's going to come into the Panthers and give them something they don't have, a little bit more speed back there, a guy that can go in the box and play man-to-man and stop the run and give you some versatility to their defense. I think the Panthers are shaping up as a pretty good team, and I think that's going to definitely help their defense.
I agree.
Thomas says Vikings going to put up 5 touchdowns all in the air. That's bold. Hot take hockey. Johnny Boy says, will Josh Rosen be the next QB rookie in line to have a massive performance?
Do you know that a rookie QB has not lost their first start yet this year?
I guess that is true.
No one has lost yet.
So I'm picking the Cardinals? Is that what you're saying?
We'll get there.
Get there. Bethel says Colts are much improved. Andrew Luck is playing like he never got injured, and the defense is not as bad as we thought. I don't know what happened to Watson, though. I'm saying Colts win 24-16. Robot Guy says, why do you hope Reed Neal's Tom? What does that even mean? Continuing on. Hot Take says, Bills. Texans win 30-17 from Deshaun. Dinksy says, are the Niners still a playoff team? No. Chris says, PPR, Woods or Cup?
Probably Cup. Cup is more PPR guy.
Yeah, they're like the same, bro.
Same guy.
Literally, like you just hope that one of them scores a touchdown.
Yeah.
I would go Cup, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Very close. They have one of the best offensive coaches, but they have CJ Beathard as their quarterback. So that's an issue. Deshaun says, do you think Eric Reed is going to kneel down for the anthem? I don't care.
Yeah.
Bucks all the way. Bethel says, I think Fitz will have a better showing than he did against Pittsburgh, and Trubisky to get it going as well. In the end, I think Chicago's defense has the edge in this one, 24-18 Bears in overtime. Packers defense is going to show up a big way this week versus the Bills. Pettin versus rookie quarterback with accuracy issues. I haven't seen any accuracy issues yet. Joey says opinions on Darius Leonard. I already said them. He's a freak. He's a beast. He looks awesome so far. And I wish the Patriots picked him. Chris, again, Woods or Cup? Cup, but not by a lot. Thomas says Amari Cooper, Crabtree, or Galladay? Not Cooper. Crabtree or Galladay? I think they both have good games. I'm going to go Crabtree. Not confident, but
I would go Galladay. He almost got a touchdown last week, but I think you would do well either way. I think
I think Crabtree, but that's tough.
It's a tough one.
But not Cooper. I don't like Cooper this week. Miguel says, thoughts on Edelman's absence in New England? Edelman is arguably I don't want to say the biggest reason why the Patriots offense is struggling, but he's the biggest reason why the Patriots offense is struggling.
Say that, though.
Yeah, I didn't want to. Dinksy says, will Matt Breida still be the workhorse for the Niners offense? That's tough to answer. I think he will be from a touch standpoint, but from a production standpoint, I think it's going to go down a little bit just because you have a shitty quarterback. Should I start Fitzgerald? I would say yes. Kev, what do you think about him against the Seahawks?
I know that a lot of people are a little hesitant about starting Fitzgerald, but doesn't hurt. Depends on what you got. What else is out there?
He said, or Deshaun Jackson.
What's that?
I would go Fitzgerald. What league? PPR? I think that just from a logic standpoint, the rookie quarterback is going to look to his slot receivers, reliable veteran guy. He's going to target Fitz a lot. And I can't see
I think Fitz will spread the ball around, so I think you'll get so I would go with Magic will spread the ball around. I would go with Mr. Gerald there.
Keenan Cole, a good start this week. I don't think he's a bad start. Lindsey is the lead back for sure, in my opinion. He's just much more explosive. To me, he's looked like the better player. Freeman's not bad by any means, but I think Lindsay just has a little bit more of the explosive factor and the it factor to me as the running back there.
Yeah. He's slowly taking over that position for sure.
Bethel says, where will Le'Veon get traded to? Maybe the Bucks.
Maybe Green Bay.
New England? No, I'm just kidding. Let me pull up the teams. Buffalo, no. Miami, no.
It's a bit of a tough trade now.
Like, yeah, it's tough.
This is the same thing with Earl Thomas. I mean, it's like the later that this goes, you're not going to get...
The Colts, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't think the 49ers, although that's been thrown out there. I would say the Colts, the Bucks, the Packers, and I think that's it. And maybe the Seahawks.
It's such a tough like I guess maybe
I think he's more likely to become a free agent.
I personally would not acquire Belfort Thomas. I don't think it's a good move for the Seahawks. Because you're in the same boat with the same guy that you're not.
I guess the Jets would be another one. That's a good one from Miguel.
Yeah, Jets would be good. Yeah, I don't see him to be in an AFC team though. I think it would be a better chance it would be the NFC. You know, another team I might nominate the Eagles.
Why?
I think that they could use I think they could use a running back. I think they have okay backs, but I think Bill takes them to that next level.
I think this is the question that we'll go back to picks.
Yeah.
Ajay or Michelle? In my opinion, I would start Michelle this week.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. Pick time. Dolphins. Patriots. One of these teams is 3-0, and it's not the one we thought would be 3-0. It's the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, number 1 in the AFC East. And the Patriots are 1-2. They look like absolute dog crap last week against the Detroit Lions. They look like poop the week before against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if you guys didn't check my recap out, you probably missed out on one of the best rants I've ever done against my own team. It was interesting. But I feel that way. To be honest, I should not pick the Patriots to win this game at all. The Dolphins offensively have everything to rip apart this defense. They have a quarterback that has decent legs. They have a quarterback that's playing well and not making any mistakes and managing the game well. They have receivers that are very fast. They have arguably, besides the Chiefs, I would say arguably the fastest receivers are like offense in the league. Kenyon Drake's fast. Jakeem Grant is like really fast. Albert Wilson is fast. Kenny Stills is fast. They can eat up underneath routes, crossing routes like the Jaguars did. The Patriots linebackers look slow. Their defense looks like crap. They can't get any pressure. They can't stop the run. Their offense of the Patriots was bad last week. Matt Patricia outcoached Josh McDaniels. What else? The Gronk is getting triple teamed and no one else can get open. Is Josh Gordon going to play? Who knows? I know Trey Flowers is going to play and Patrick Chung is going to play, which is going to be a massive boost to the Patriots. They haven't had Trey Flowers in 2 weeks. And for whatever reason, I think Trey Flowers is arguably the most valuable defensive lineman in the NFL. Because when Trey Flowers plays, their defensive line is actually competent. When he doesn't play, they're the worst defensive line in the NFL. So if Trey Flowers gets hurt for the rest of the year, they're done. That's just putting that out there. But if he doesn't, they have a chance. I'm going with the Patriots because I have to, because they're my team, because it's at home, because it's do or die, because it's Tom Brady, because it's Bill Belichick, because we've seen this before. I just have to go with the Patriots, even though I shouldn't. Kev.
I got to play this.
On Sunday Night Football, just got absolutely dominated, punished, destroyed, annihilated, whooped, whatever you want to put next to it, whatever adjective you want to use. The Patriots look like crap. The Lions look like a reborn team.
Like, you just almost hear Mitch Milani cry during that recap. It's something. And then he goes on to say, many people sucked. It's you got to go and watch that recap. It was 38 minutes of entertainment that you will richly enjoy. I promise you. 1996. That was the time that Jerry Maguire was the top hit of movies. Show me the money. Celine Dion and the Fugees were like your top music. And the Miami Dolphins were 3-0. That's the last time. Will they go 4-0? No. I am also picking the Patriots for this game as well. Look, I do not think that this is the same thing as every other year. I think there are some problems with the Patriots. And one of them, I think at the end of the year, the question that I think has not been answered, and I'm still confused by, is you went for Josh Gordon and you left Des Bryant on the field. And I do think that that's going to be a mistake. But I also, the Miami hasn't left Florida yet. That's been another team that has been at a pretty comfortable schedule. I'm still not quite sold on this team yet. And I think that I think this is a game, Mitch, that the Patriots have to win. They got to win this game. You can't go to 1-3 and Miami 4-0. I mean, it's just impossible. They will get it together for this week. They will be back on the win column, not fully back. I think there's still some issues. We're still going to be talking about Patriot issues. But at the end of the day, I still got to go with the Patriots to win this game.
I hope you're right, Kevole. But I will say, respond to the Des Bryant thing. I think Josh Gordon's just a lot better player. I think Des Bryant is pretty much done. I mean, I think he just can't separate as well. He can't. He doesn't have the speed that Josh Gordon has. I think Josh Gordon's just a lot better player. I don't think they're very comparable there. I guess you can have your opinion, but I think Josh Gordon is going to play. And I think actually him just being physically on the field is actually going to help this team a lot. Because it's first off, Xavier Howard for the Dolphins, great player, has had a great season so far. He'll probably be covering Josh Gordon, but it doesn't even matter if Josh Gordon catches the ball or not. It's just going to matter that they have a receiver that can actually stretch the field, actually open up the defense, and allow those underneath routes and guys to get open. And I think the Patriots will sort of figure it out. And they're in front of their home crowd, and they need this win. I think they're motivated. They'll get it, I think. And if they don't, like I said last week, I was frustrated last week. I'm not worried. If they lose, I'm worried. So don't lose. Okay. Now moving on to someone else's team. The team that beat my Patriots is the Detroit Lions. They're playing in Dallas, Jerry's World, against Dilly Vanilli's Cowboys. Cowboys lost last week to your Seahawks. So I'm going to let you kind of talk it out. Do you like what you saw from Detroit last week? Do you think this is sort of a turnaround, or do you think this is sort of like their Super Bowl win and Matt Patricia went all out for this win? And then, or do you think the Dallas Cowboys are just really bad and they lost to a Seahawks team that you don't think is really good? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I was gonna do some smack talk on Dilly here, saying that Zeke 8, sure, but like.
Yeah, we know why Dylan didn't make it now. It's because Kevole was going to chirp him about the Seahawks winning.
There we go. Let's look at Detroit. I think it was a good sign what happened last week. I think that this is still a team that has a long way to go to be anywhere right now. I still think that this is a team that is rebuilding, but something happened there. I'll grant you that. And I think that there's progress there. Stafford's still a solid quarterback. They got a pretty good receiving core, and they got a guy. I think they got a good running combination last week. Their defense is okay. I just can't pick Dallas, Mitch. You can't, Dak is not trustworthy. Their receivers, that receiving core is one of the worst in the league. They're without Sean Lee. They can't get any consistency. Even if they're favored, they can't win. They find Randy Gregory a for the love of, fine, we won. But I mean, if you're a Cowboys fan, Randy Gregory's penalty that was completely dumb. They can't stay disciplined on the field. Dak is not a good quarterback. They don't have a good receiving core. They don't have a good tight end. They don't have a good offensive line. They can be favored all they want. I just think Matthew Stafford is going to have a good game. And I do think I'm picking the Lions to win this game.
So you brought up a lot of issues with the Cowboys. You didn't bring up one that I think is pretty important based off recent history. Sean Lee's not playing.
Yeah. I did say that, actually. I did say Sean Lee's not playing.
You did say that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, maybe I'm zoning out. But when Sean Lee doesn't play, Kevole, what happens? To sum it up. Yeah. That being said, I don't think it matters, Dylan, if Joe Buck is calling this this game, if Joe Aikman, I don't care who, I don't care if Kevole is calling this game, if I'm calling this game, if AC is, if Kevin Durkant is calling the game. The Detroit Lions, I think, are the more talented football team, and I think they're going to win. And it is, yes, it's in Dallas, and yes, they proved me wrong against the Giants last time they played in Dallas. But let's think about the Giants for a sec. They got an incompetent quarterback, which your defense took advantage of with Sean Lee in the lineup, and you got a little lucky with the Tavon Austin big play that I don't think will happen for the rest of the season. So this game, you play the Detroit Lions, who, can I just say, they have the best trio of receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, they certainly do have a very talented group with Tate. I like Golden Tate. You like him.
And they have three different guys that do different things.
Yep, they do.
They have Marvin Jones, Golden Tate, and they have Kenny Golladay. And Kenny Golladay looks like he could be a number one on a different offense.
Yep.
And Golden Tate's great underneath, and Marvin Jones can stretch the field. Their offensive line was fantastic last week. I don't think that will be as great this week against the Dallas defensive line, but I do think that they sort of, with TJ Lang coming back and then Ragnow kind of switching to center, it significantly improved their offensive line. And you kind of saw what Lions fans were hoping for and what we were hoping for and saying that it could happen in the offseason, but it would be like the best case scenario for the Lions is if their offensive line was finally good. And it looked like that was the case last week against New England. So if their offensive line can perform, protect Matt Stafford, and he can get it to those receivers, the Detroit Lions are going to win this game because they have a better offense. Matt Stafford's a better quarterback. If you don't think Matt Stafford's a good quarterback, I don't know what to say. He made a couple throws last week where I was just like you can't stop that. There was one throw where he was sitting in the pocket and he threw it over Jonathan Jones and another guy while the guy jumped up in the air and tried to tip. It was perfect, a perfect pass. And that's what Matt Stafford does. Dak doesn't have the capability of doing that. I think Kerryon Johnson finally has the opportunity this week to be their lead back, and I think he makes the most of it. And as far as Zeke and them getting a big game here, I really like what I've seen from Ashawn Robinson, Sylvester Williams, Deshaun Hand. Those guys in the middle for the Lions defense have really impressed. And I think the Lions are going to do exactly what they did against the Patriots, against the Cowboys. They pretty much crowded the middle of the field, and they sent guys in the box to stop the run because they knew nobody could beat the Patriots. The Patriots had no receivers on the outside that could stretch the field. The Cowboys don't either. And they're just going to attack the run, stop the run. Patricia's good at that sort of thing. Darius Slay can take whatever receiver he wants out of the game. Doesn't matter. And I think that the Lions defense, sure, not a ton of talent there, but they have good scheme. They have a couple of pretty strong run stoppers, and they have a good corner. And that's enough for Patricia to sort of slow down this no talent offense of the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to go with the Lions. I'll say it's 20-13 for the Lions.
24-16 Lions.
Okay. Next, we have the Bengals at the Atlanta Falcons. Another very interesting game. I don't think there's any like huge just mind-blowing games this week or matchups per se. Maybe the Rams and Vikings, but like this is a very under the radar interesting game because the Bengals, they had not their best performance against the Panthers last week, but they look like a solid team to start off the season. They are 2-1 right now, and they head into Atlanta. Atlanta went all the way down to the wire, overtime with Drew Brees and the Saints. Their defense can stop the Saints to save their life, and their offense looked really, really good and consistent. This week it's in Atlanta. Kevole, what do you think? Do you think the good Bengals are going to show up? Do you think the Falcons defense is just going to continue to go down? What's your thoughts?
I'm going to go with the Bengals here. I am pretty confident about this pick, actually. I know that this is a home game for the Falcons, but this defense can't stop a cold. I think the edge here is I think the Bengals defense is a bit better. Yeah, Matt Ryan can throw 4 or 5 touchdowns. This will be a high scoring game, but at the end of the day, who can make that stop that gets you the win? I think it's the Bengals that do it. I think Dalton will have a good game. Tyler Eifert will have a good game. The Bengals offense is going to be good enough against this Falcons defense to score enough points. But this Falcons defense is a concern, and this Falcons team is actually a concern. I think that this will be a game that this red light needs to flash. This team isn't playing well. There's a ton of injuries. Yeah, they can throw the ball all over the field and they can score points, but they can't stop anybody. And especially if they have to go on the road, this is going to become more of a problem. I'm picking the Bengals on this one.
This was tough for me. I went back and forth for a while, and I see your points, but I'm going to go with Atlanta because I have been extremely impressed with their offense of recent weeks. Their red zone offense looks better, and I saw some things against the Panthers that the Bengals didn't particularly do well. I'm disappointed in their defensive line so far this year. It hasn't been as good as I would have hoped. I do think William Jackson versus Julio is one of the underrated matchups of the week. I think that's going to be a good matchup. And I still think Atlanta has the secondary. Their safety spot is very concerning. They have the corners, I should say. Their safeties. Ricardo Allen is now out and Keanu Neal is now out. And if you're relying on Jordan Richards, I'm just telling you, it's not going to work out. So don't put him out there. Okay. Just don't do it. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Yeah. But I think Atlanta at home in the Dome, I give them the advantage. And I like their offensive line to kind of get a run game started and be able to dictate the pace of game. I don't think Joe Mixon's going to play, but I do think Devontae Freeman might play. So that's a big deal. So I'm going to go with Atlanta, but I think it's going to be like 30-27 for Atlanta.
I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta wins, but I just got this feeling that just feel like the Bengals, even though there's still some concerns there, I think their defense is a bit better than the Falcons right now.
I would agree with you, but I think the Falcons' offense is better than the Bengals.
So, yeah.
I just slightly trust Matt Ryan a little bit more than Andy Dalton, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Next game, and then we'll go back to the chat. Jets at Jaguars. So the Jaguars. Kevole, is there one guy that we were all talking about how great he was after week number 2, and we're not talking about him right now?
Blake Bortles? Yeah, where did Blake Bortles go?
Apparently, well, you know what happened. Can I explain this in the simplest of terms?
I think we need your explanation there.
Yeah, Blake Bortles, he played the Patriots. That's what happened. He played the Patriots. Any quarterback. Could be me. It could be you. It could be Dylan. You play the Patriots, you're going to have a good game. You're going to look like an all-star, especially when it's basically a revenge game. And he had the best game of his life, and I said it. But of course, Blake Bortles comes out the next week. Let me look this up, okay?
It was pretty.
Jaguars. It was not pretty. If Blake Bortles could have made NFL caliber throws last week, they would have won the game. They lost 9-6. to the Titans. 9-6. This was my worry about the Jaguars coming into the season. They're going to lose games 9-6 because Blake Bortles is going to shit the bed occasionally. It's just going to happen because he's not good. Sometimes he'll get on a roll. He'll get hit Corey Grant out of the backfield. He'll get a screen. He'll even hit a deep pass down the field to Cole. But then he comes out. Titans, Marcus Mariota, 12 for 18, 100 yards. Blaine Gabbert, 1 for 3, 8 yards. Derrick Henry, 3.2 yards per carry. Dion Lewis, 2.9 yards per carry. No receiver over 34 yards. They still lose the game because Bortles, 21 for 34, 155 yards.
Yeah.
And it was bad. Like, he couldn't throw the ball. So this week, they play the Jets. And the Jets suck. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Sam Darnold did not look good against the Browns defense, and now he's got to play a better version of the Browns defense. And I think Bortles will just be able to make a couple more plays. Like, the Titans do play the Jaguars really well. You got to hand it to them for that. Their defense knows what to do against Bortles and this offense. And occasionally, you know, I think that Hackett does draw up typically very good game plans. He'll give Bortles some easy reads, and then maybe Bortles can hit some plays later on. Leonard Fournette should probably play in this game. That's a good thing. So the Jets, although I was sort of not high on them, but I was higher than most on them coming into the year, I do not like what I've seen from Sam Darnold recently, and I don't think that's a good thing against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars. Kev?
Well, to be fair to Darnold, that was 3 games in 11 days. So that's, I think,
it was a Thursday night game on the road against a good defense, and you're a rookie. It's tough.
Yeah. You know, what concerns me isn't that offense, though, because I do think they have some weapons, and I think Darnold can do okay, and they're able to run the ball a little bit. We'll get to if Baker's good for real or not, but what Baker and the Browns did when he got in the game just kind of like scared me how that switch was turned. That Jets defense can be burnt. That secondary has been burnt a lot already this year. The Lions did it. The Browns did that a little bit. I think the Jags defense is the edge here. I think the Jags are going to be in the team with most of the ball. I see this a low-scoring game, like a 17-3, 17-6 kind of game, and I see the Jags winning. I just don't think that I think when it comes down to it, my concern is that secondary for the Jets is going to be dominated by that Jags receipt. Like, Bortles can make enough plays to Cole, Westbrook, that they'll be able to make the big play when they need it.
Yeah.
Fournette is back. They're going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Next, or actually, sorry. Let's go to the chat. And then we'll get to Eagles Titans. Scrolling up. Okay.
What's Brett needing some love all the time for? You're the best there is. Brett's demanding shout out.
I don't know. I always say he's the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. I don't know why I need to put him over every week.
Yeah, he does it himself.
He does. WND says Dolphin will either lose a close game or win by double digits. Dolphins 30, Pats 20. Okay, that hurt my feelings. Drakeford says, should I start Ryan or Dalton? I would go with Ryan. Rob says Dolphins 20-17. Pats suffer their first 3-game losing streak in a long time. This is the week. This is the week everyone's picking against the Patriots.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why you're loving the Dolphins.
They're a good team. They're talented.
Yeah, sure, but I don't. That's not. History tells me to pick the Patriots, so I go with history here.
Okay. 17-14 Fins. JW says. Deshaun says Fins by 10. Miguel says, I'm a Pats fan too, but man, that defense needs work. If the Pats win, they'll win, but it will be a close game. Rob says Pats will have their first 3-game losing streak since 2005. Dolphins smell blood. Turtle says, should I start Nathan Peterman or Zane Gonzalez? I would probably go Zane Gonzalez.
Yeah, probably Zane.
Peterman would have negative points, and at least Gonzalez wouldn't have negative points.
Yeah.
Rob says Lions 24-10. Major Slugger, who is a Lions fan, says Lions 27-14. Bethel says Cowboys going to win. They just need to run the ball more, and they'll be okay. Cowboys 20-17. I do agree they need to run the ball more, but that's still not going to get them to win the game.
What are you going to have Zeke run 40 to 45 times and have Dak throw 5?
Yeah, probably. Probably have that. Dak Prescott sucks, says Major Slugger. Yoshi says, who do I start at flex? Corey Davis, Isaiah Crowell, Deshaun Jackson, or Royce Freeman?
Deshaun.
You think Deshaun?
Deshaun or Royce are my top two.
Crowell plays the Jags, so that's probably a no. Corey Davis plays
bust
the Eagles. I just don't like Mariota, so I wouldn't start him. And yeah, it's between Deshaun and Freeman. Deshaun plays the Bears.
Freeman plays
the worst defense in the NFL. Ooh. I would go Freeman.
I would go Deshaun because I think Lindsey's going to get more work.
Yeah, see, like from what I've seen so far this year, though, they both are getting work. So I don't know. That's tough. But I would go Royce and Kev would go Deshaun. It also depends what type of league it is. Michael says, but is throwing over Jonathan Jones really an accomplishment? Well, the point was Jonathan Jones was there and another guy was there, and it was perfectly placed. Like, it didn't matter if that was Darrelle Revis 2010. It would have been complete. That was the point. Sebastian Ortiz says, did they talk about the Bears yet? Yes, we did. Rob says Falcons 27-10. Bengals game is a toss-up. I think Atlanta is more dynamic. 34-27 Atlanta. Good point. That's my point as well. Brett, I put you over, man. Robot says, why did y'all decide to do these on Thursdays instead of Wednesdays or any day before Thursday? Well, AC said that he could do Thursdays. But, of course, as you see, AC is not here. So, I mean, we should probably do it Wednesdays. I have to talk to AC. Kev, you can do Wednesdays?
You know what one problem with Wednesdays is?
The problem also with Wednesdays is that I have a 6-hour class from 3 to 9 Eastern time. So it's kind of tough.
It feels, one of the things I like about this is it's kind of like the Thursday night pregame show.
Yeah, it's like before the Yeah,
and I also feel like the later it is, we know some injury news that I think helps or retracts picks. That's the other thing.
Yeah, Wednesday does have the injury report. I don't know. We'll see. We just try and we don't really pick a day because we like to do it where the most people are available. It just so happens this week that everybody's busy this week. So, but we're here. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going. Eagles at Titans. Kevole. Eagles win. Carson Wentz is back. Everybody celebrate. Everybody's happy. But Eagles squeak it out against the Colts team at home. And then the Titans, again, beat the Jaguars. And all of a sudden, Titans are 2-1.
Yeah, well, I had the Titans in the playoffs. So that was, I'm not as surprised with where the Titans are at this point in time. I feel like the Eagles have got off to a pretty sluggish start overall. Maybe not surprising considering everything that's happened. Super Bowl hangover, Carson Wentz's injury, Nick Foles not being as effective. To me, though, just in terms of talent, I think you have to just go with the Eagles here. There's just more talent on both sides of the ball. Both of the quarterbacks are hurt, and I'm just not sold on Marcus Mariota. I'm not sold on this passing game enough right now that they could beat the Eagles. Yeah, they can run the ball, but I just feel like overall the Eagles are a more talented team, so I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. I agree. They're the more talented team. Yes, they're on the road, but I think it helps that this is Carson Wentz's second week back instead of first, another week of practice, another week of getting used to NFL football. And he did make some plays last week that Carson Wentz is he typically makes. And yeah, Alshon's probably another week away, which I do think has significantly hurt this offense. Carson Wentz or no Carson Wentz. Without Alshon Jeffrey, it's hurt their offense. But their defense is still very solid. Marcus Mariota, Blaine Gabbert, doesn't matter. They're not passing the ball with any success, especially with Delaney Walker out for the year. They've had no success through the air. Their defense is really the way they're winning games, and occasionally they'll make a special teams play, or they'll break a deep screen or a screen for a big gain, or they'll break a run. But the Titans offense is very stagnant right now. It's not very explosive, and I think the Eagles have more explosive offense, and their defense is their defense. So I'm going to go with the Eagles to get it done. And like AC said, I think a lot of people kind of sleeping on the Eagles right now. I think they're going to get better as the season goes on with Carson Wentz. And, they had a big loss today. McLeod got hurt, but I think that overall they'll get better as the season goes on. Okay. Next one. Browns at the Raiders. I'm just going to let Kevole straight away. No pre-introduction, just Browns and Raiders.
I know. Congratulations, Cleveland. Way to go. You won last week, the first win in over a year. You're now two wins, and you're no longer the 1-31. You got Baker Mayfield, and he had a great game. You've got a wonderful defense, all of that sort of stuff. I warned everybody about Gruden and Carr, and I think that we have to start putting Derek Carr in the overrated category. I think it's very legitimate to have that conversation. This Raiders defense can't, they get leads, they can't hold them. That's happened in 3 straight games. This Browns defense is really tough. This is a really tough game to pick, though, because I think we're getting a little bit – I think we need to hold our horses with Baker. If this was a home game for Cleveland, I probably would be more inclined to pick them. But this is in Oakland, and that's why I'm picking the Raiders. That Browns defense is going to be tough, but I think – Chucky and Carr will do enough to win this game this week. If it was in Cleveland, I would pick Cleveland, but this is one where I think the home team has the edge, and I feel that that's Oakland. That is the only reason.
Don't hate the pick, but I'm gonna go with the Browns. I like the defense. I like what I've seen. They play with aggressive style. I think they're going to be able to get after Derek Carr, maybe force a couple of mistakes. Like you said, I think it is time to, although I think Derek Carr has shown a little bit better in the last couple of weeks, I think that it is time to sort of say, hey, Derek Carr might be a little bit overrated. Maybe that 1 year was a little bit of a it was just sort of magic in a bottle. It didn't really go anywhere. For Chucky, I don't know. He hasn't really been able to outcoach anyone quite yet in the biggest moments of the game. And
Nope.
neither has Derek Carr been able to outplay other teams' quarterbacks, including guys like Case Keenum. So as far as the Browns are concerned, Baker Mayfield, he just has, even if he doesn't play as well as he did last week in terms of just from a physical standpoint, I think just his leadership and his like charisma is going to be enough for the Browns to kind of get, come around him. And even if he doesn't have a great game, the defense, they'll be there. I actually think this might be a little bit low scoring. Mm-hmm. I think that the Browns will just make a couple more plays, a couple more stops. And I think guys like, Carlos Hyde's playing really well. Jarvis Landry's playing really well. Amari Cooper's out to lunch. I think that the Browns are just the more talented overall team. And although I hate Hugh Jackson as a head coach, and I didn't say dislike. I hate him as a head coach. After his press conference, he says,
come on, dude.
Bro, he said, he's talking about how he didn't copy the Philly or whatever the freaking was called. He called it, dude, just can you admit, like, when you copy stuff and paste it onto your playbook, like Sean McVay is the best offensive coach in football right now, and he steals from everybody. Like, he actually admits that. Why can't you admit that? It's part of being a good coach. But anyways, Hugh Jackson, you're going to win this game because your team's talented, but you suck.
Yeah.
Moving on. Seahawks at Cardinals. Kevole.
53. Remember the number 53. That is the amount of runs plus Russell Wilson completions that the Seahawks offense needs to have an effective game. We finally saw them run the ball. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. They ran, and they were insistent on running, even if it was only a half yard or a 1 yard, and it started to work, and Carson was able to move. The one concern is I don't know if Chris Carson is a 30 carry per game guy, and I don't know if Rashard Penny is right now a 5 carry guy. I think that's one concern in terms of offense. The offensive line played very well last week, even though Dilly suggested that there would be an abuse. There was no abusing there. Moved some things around. DJ Fluker has been was a great add to that. Good acquisition. Receiving core, okay. Defensively, they are taking the ball away. Just simply, that is great. Earl is stealing balls. He doesn't want to practice, but he's taking footballs away. And he's basically playing for free, which is nice. He keeps getting fined. Bradley McDougall, I think we need to start put him in a rank of where he is in terms of safeties in this league, because I think he is a solid top end safety in the NFL. I'm not saying he's Cam, but he's good. And this defense is better with Bobby Wagner, no question about it. But Arizona plays this team tough. Josh Rosen's going to make his debut. No rookie quarterback has lost yet. David Johnson is due for a big game. Fitz will be there. It's going to be it always is a very tight game. There's a lot of people that are picking Arizona, but I just feel like the Seahawks can do this. I feel like if they get on the schedule, I think that they're going to confuse Josh Rosen enough. This is also, I think, a defense that people are underrating a little bit overall. I think the Seahawks defense gets this done, and they win a very close game, 20-17.
Yeah, this is tough. Typically in this type of matchup between two teams I don't think are too great in the division that I don't think is too great, I go with the home team. In this case, I'm going to go with the away team. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. And there's really one reason and one reason only. I don't know what I'm going to get from Josh Rosen. I do know what I'm going to get from Russell Wilson. So that being said, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. And yes, I do think that the Seahawks were impressive last week in their win. I think Chris Carson has made more plays than I gave him credit for before the year. And yeah, the Cardinals played better last week. They were more competitive. I don't know, man. That offense is just not getting it done. The offensive line doesn't look too great. And I just think, like, overall, it's going to be a really bad, I think it's going to be a really bad football game. It's probably going to be like 17-16, something like that. And it's probably going to be a little sloppy. And the offensive line play is not going to be your favorite. But I think the Seahawks will find a way to win, close one. And I really like what I saw from Pete Carroll last week. I thought he was very emotional into the game. And he seemed like I don't want to say got the team back a little bit, but I feel like he's not as out of it as we thought.
Yeah.
So
I was going to mention that too. I think Pete kind of grabbed some reins this week for sure.
Okay, so we're both going to the Seahawks. Saints at Giants. Giants, big win last week against the Texans. OBJ over 100 yards. They did lose Evan Ingram. Saquon looks like a monster. Man, you'd probably be considered Saquon as, he could be a top 3 running back in the NFL already, and he's only played like 3 games. And the defense is decent. They make some plays. They probably should have won that game by more points than they did. And Eli had his best game of the season, no doubt. Saints offense is explosive. oh my goodness, they are just going up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field. Their defense, on the other hand, up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field. So I feel like this game is going to be very offensive. I could see OBJ having a massive game here. Saquon, it's going to be interesting to see if the Giants can control the ball on the ground with Saquon Barkley and their offensive line can perform. That will take some pressure off of their pass blocking and just getting, and I think Eli can get the ball out quick to his receivers here. So I think the Giants will score some points. But even though the Saints are on the road and typically they struggle on the road and usually they're not the same team offensively on the road, I still got to pick them just because of the way their offense is playing, the way Kamara is playing. Michael Thomas is amazing so far this year. Drew Brees is on point. Sean Payton's coaching well offensively. So I got to go with the Saints. I can't trust Eli, although I sort of was thinking about going with the Giants. If they can get like a big play from OBJ, a big play from Saquon, maybe they got a chance. But I'm going to go with the Saints just because like they're the better offense, and I think it's going to be a track meet, so I'm going to go with the Saints.
First game this year for the New Orleans Saints to play outdoors. But I don't think that matters. I just think that I think the Giants, yeah, they have their offensive skills here. I think Barkley's been a beast. And, Barkley's a beast. Beckham's a beast. Their quarterback isn't, but the Saints offense is just going to go up and down the field. I don't see it being different. It's still going to be a nice warm day in New York, and the Saints will go up and down the field. 35-23 Saints.
Okay. Kind of a wide margin. Next game is the Chargers and 49ers. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. No Jimmy G, no win for the 49ers. Chargers. Phillip Rivers is playing great again. Mike Williams, I think, gets more involved this game as opposed to last game. And I think that Austin Eckler, if anyone's watched the Chargers recently, Austin Eckler could be considered a legitimate number one running back. He's playing really, really well. I know how good Melvin Gordon is playing. Austin Eckler is playing almost just as well. And these two guys are a dynamic duo in the backfield. I think that's something to look out for. And their offense is very good this year. No matter who they're playing, Keenan Allen's great. Their defense needs some work, but I don't think that matters. The 49ers, without a quarterback, it's just not good. So I'm going to go with the Chargers and their stadium that is supposed to be a home stadium. Kevole?
Oh, sorry. Oh, thanks for
are there tickets? Kev?
Oh, we need to get the address here. Sorry, forgot it. I thought for some StubHub Center is where the LA Chargers play. Again, 818-400 South Alabama Boulevard, Carson. Check that out. Just off of East Victoria there. If you're in Los Angeles, tickets are available at Ticketmaster, or you can just go to the box office there. You have to see.
You could probably walk there like 10 minutes after the kickoff and probably get some tickets.
Yeah, you can have a little bit of a bite to eat before, grab some sun, and catch the football game. No Jimmy G, no Richard Sherman. Also on defense, just not lack of talent overall. This is a game the Chargers should. If this was Survivor, probably would be my pick. If we were still Survivoring, I would consider this as one of my picks.
Okay. Now it's a game that I want Kevole to preview because it's his favorite team in the NFL. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're on Sunday night. And they play the Baltimore Ravens, another team that I was high on. I picked them to go to the playoffs. And they're off a tough loss, but they have some time to prepare here. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have less time to prepare. So how's that impact?
The Ravens won last week, by the way.
What's up?
The Ravens beat the Broncos last week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Never mind. They're 2-1, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the Bengals game for some reason. I felt like that was last week.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm wrong there. Sorry. The Ravens correctly beat the Broncos. I picked them to win that game. And I think that's a big win because I don't think the Broncos are a bad team, as we'll get to. But I think overall, Kevole, Steelers, Ravens, the rivalry in Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts?
Even Mike Tomlin Mr. Mike Tomlin has admitted how bad his secondary was. He's like, we're just going to play anybody until someone can actually cover a person. That was basically his quote against Tampa Bay. They've blown leads 3 times. They blew. Well, they actually fair. They didn't blow a lead against Tampa Bay, but this was a blowout, and they came back. This Pittsburgh defense has allowed over 400 yards a game for 3 straight games against non-elite quarterbacks, except Patrick Mahomes. Well,
wait, Joe Flacco elite?
Well, we haven't talked about Mr. Flacco yet.
Okay,
but they, they found a way to get things done last week. I'm picking the Ravens. I'm going to do it. I've been thinking about this all week. I think that the edge here is the Ravens defense is able to make enough stops that I think that this might be the best defense that they're the second best defense. Top 2 defenses that the Steelers offense has played.
Who did they play already? They played the Bucks,
the Chiefs, and the Browns.
Okay.
I think the Steelers are not consistent enough. I think the Ravens are going to play a very consistent game. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Alex Collins and Buck Allen. I think they'll get enough plays from Michael Crabtree. I'm not always a big fan of Michael Crabtree, but I think they'll do a lot there. And I think the Ravens defense is solid. And I think that they can keep this to a very low scoring game. And I think they're going to keep bending that offense off the field. I'm picking them to win a very tight 20-17 win for the Baltimore Ravens.
This is tough.
Sorry, Mike, but
yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers. Steelers are at home. That's a big deal in this game. Big Ben plays better at home. I'm still concerned. If Jimmy Smith and CJ Mosley were playing, I'd probably go with the Ravens. They're not playing. I think that's a big thing, especially when you're playing Antonio Brown. And he seemed to get a little bit into it last week. I like the way that Ben's dishing the ball around, using his tight ends, using Connor out of the backfield, using Brown, using Juju's having a great year so far, which was well documented before the year. We thought that was going to happen. Defensively, though, they're bad, really bad. They're like Patriot level bad. But I just don't think the Ravens are going to be able to capitalize that much on it. I think the Steelers they can put some drives together and, they're going to be able to score. I think they'll win like 24-20 in a close game. Yes, Flacco will make some plays, and yes, the run game will make some plays, but I just don't trust it over Big Ben, the way he's playing, the way he's balling. So I'm going to go with Big Ben, and I'm going to go with the Steelers.
In this game is kicking, and Boswell has struggled for this year, and Tucker hasn't. And I also think that that's going to play a factor in this game.
Steelers Stadium, traditionally very hard to kick at. Probably the hardest stadium to kick at in the NFL. Okay, Monday Night Football. Decent Monday Night Football game. Chiefs at Broncos, usually pretty entertaining. Patrick Mahomes, MVP of the NFL so far, 13 touchdowns, most ever through 3 weeks, I think. And the offense is the best in the NFL. Explosive, all over the place. Very hard to get to track down. Like, what are they going to do next? Are they going to, throw it to Tyreek Hill or Sammy Watkins or Travis Kelce down the seam? Or is Patrick Mahomes going to run spinorama 3 times and throw a dart to the back of the end zone? Or, what's going to happen? So the Chiefs, pretty much impossible to stop right now. But their defense, I think it's impossible for them to stop anyone. So that's the question with them. The Broncos, Case Keenum's played better than I think anybody. I don't think anybody would have thought, but anybody really thought was like realistic, because I feel like Case Keenum's played very well so far. He won them the game against the Raiders at the end there. Played a solid week 1 game. And last week, he wasn't the greatest, but he was decent. So I think this is going to be another shootout for the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chiefs because their offense is just so hard to stop. But this is the best defense, in my opinion, that the Chiefs have faced so far this year. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. I don't think the Broncos defense is great, but with Von Miller, And with all those guys they got, they're going to give them a contest, a little bit of contest there. So if the Broncos can get pressure, it changes the aspect of the game entirely. And the Chiefs still need to find a way to consistently run the ball. I think that's going to hurt them if they can over the course of the year, given how bad their defense is. They can't really control the clock. So we'll see if a team can eventually control the clock against the Chiefs and play good enough defense, they'll be able to beat them. But I don't think it's going to be this week. I think the Chiefs will continue to roll and win this game. Kev.
Denver at home. Denver, you're right. I mean, it just seems like every game.
They have 9 games at home every year.
Yeah, every year. It seems weird. They have been in 2 close games already at home, the Raiders and the Seahawks. I'm not agreeing with you on Case Keenum. I actually think he's kind of struggled. I think struggling in Seattle, had a couple picks, wasn't great against the Raiders. I think
I like how he plays like in Fitzpatrick terms. Like he just doesn't care. He just goes out there and ball. Like he doesn't really. He's just out there slinging it.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think that this is a game. I think we're going to start to see Philip. I think we're going to start to finally see the Lindsey Freeman separation start to happen. Broncos are gonna have to run the ball a lot. There's too many weapons on the Chiefs to pick against them. I mean, Mahomes is probably due for a tough game, but I just have a feeling he may have a tough game, but he may end up getting a game-winning drive. I'm going 27-20 for the Kansas City.
So slightly lower than what they've typically gotten.
Yeah.
But this is a tough one on the road, division game. Definitely the best defense they've played. Yeah, I think we're both going Chiefs. And that is our week number 4 picks and preview and predictions. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's read the comments real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Tonight we'll have a recap of the Thursday night football game. Mike texted me, said he'll probably be on. I'm going to be on. I don't know what AC is doing. I don't know what Kevole is doing, but we'll have at least 2 of us there. So, and it's going to be a good game tonight. So make sure you tune into the recap because I think there's going to be some hot takes thrown out. GGSP says, what do you guys think the Saints and Giants game will be? We answered that, but we're both taking the Saints. What else? As a Chargers fan, I wish all of my heart that the Raiders shit the bed, but Chucky ain't losing another one, 20-17. Rob says 27-21 Raiders. New Orleans offense will have 450 plus yards. Mark my words. Let's go Chargers.
Chargers.
Rob says Ravens 27-20, Chargers 35-10. JW says Chargers 30-7. He says Old Man Weddle is going to lock it down for the Ravens. 41-24 Falcons, says Bethel. I hate the Bungles. Plain and simple. And that's everything for the chat. So again, hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow Kevole on Twitter at Kevole, and follow me on Twitter at Mitch Milani. In the description below, you guys can go follow the channel, myself, Dylan, Kevole, AC on Twitter. That's where we always put out the links for when we're going live. We always just throw tweets out there. Kevole talks about everything. I mostly talk about football and the bottom line view stuff. But anyways, again, for Mitch and Kevole and the bottom line view, peace out.